And we are live. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. That's right. Okay, we've already got that. It's after. It feels like an evening because of how long we've been here. But welcome to pilot. If you've got those in, good luck. You may find just for this pilot, you may find that the feed is a little jumpy. We are on 5G at the moment, so to be fair, that means you don't get a perfect 4K picture of myself, Matt, which is probably not the worst thing in the world. So let's introduce. We'll go ladies first. Anne-Marie, how are you?
Yeah, very well. Happy New Year. Is it still too late
Thank
to
you.
say that?
I don't know,
yeah.
when do you stop doing official? If you see someone in October, do you then still go like Happy New Year?
Second of January.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, thank you for having me. Yeah, great to be back. I think it's been 49 days since our last home match, or certainly since my last
When
home
was
match.
that?
Ah, I
Cheltenham?
don't know. You put me on the spot now.
Was it Cheltenham, the last one here? Was that your last one?
Yeah, I believe so.
It was
Yes.
Cheltenham, wasn't it? It was
Yeah,
Cheltenham in
yeah.
the FA Cup, wasn't it?
It's still good to be back.
Yeah. I'll never get bored of coming here, so.
Matt, how are you?
Yes, I'm fine, mate. Fine, just cold.
Yeah, so this is our studio. So we're up on the West End top tier. we've got the winners over, and just to make sure we've got a bit of air in here, you'll notice that there's no one here at the moment. I'm just looking behind me. It's obviously they're obviously coming in, and we've got the living wall, which is now down on the west stand, on that people can see and stuff like that. And Matt has just told me that we've got My Pie, which is one of my favourite outlets, which were at Woking for pre-season. They are amazing pies, of course, along with all the others that we've got here. Rob, how are you?
I'm alright, thank you very much. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Yeah, we were just saying that, weren't we? Do you know what I mean? Happy New Year to you too as well. We're just waiting for team news, but how we were saying, we haven't been here for a little while, have we? So are we looking forward to home game? Obviously, we go through what happened since we haven't, Oxford, Milton Keynes, and Bournemouth. But are we looking forward to today, Anne-Marie?
Yeah, same as Boise. It's always great to be back up here. I am looking forward to today. I mean, I know I always err on the side of positive, probably to the annoyance of many people. But do you know what? It's a massive opportunity to just, regroup and try and get that momentum. But it's not been the easiest few weeks for the squad and for the club and for the fans. But we're playing a team who are probably about equal to us, and I think this is a really good opportunity to get the fans behind us and just try and kickstart that season. I think January is always a good time to do that. We've got some fresh new faces, which will be exciting to see as well.
Definitely. So you'll just notice me, it's been a bit of a rush this morning, so we're just going to quickly, there we go, just so you can see what's going on. That looks better. So this is where we are, so let me just make sure we can all see this. I think you could anyway. So, yeah, where are we? So here we are, final five. So let's go. If we go back to before the break, Rob, we've done well. Win at Aki, draw at Wickham, which we could have won.
Yep, should have won, in my opinion.
So going into let's discuss it. It's going into Oxford, 3-0 defeat. What went wrong, Rob?
Well, Robert put it down the rustiness. We hadn't had a game for so long with cancellations and postponements. So we just looked off the pace and off the boil that game. But like you said previously to that, with Accrington, Stanley, and Wickham, we picked up 4 fantastic points in them 2 games. But yeah, since then our form seems to have dipped. But good news, or the positive is, we're back at Plough Lane now. It's a new year and we've got plenty of games coming up. So hopefully a 3-point start for the new year today.
Anne-Marie, did you watch Oxford?
No, I didn't.
Well
I must confess. But I was there when we went last season, or when we did the 5-0 loss there, so I can say I've done my bit as a fan. But no, I didn't get to that one this season, unfortunately.
And then we go on to Bournemouth. So, Matt, FA Cup, 3rd round, upset was always possible, wasn't it? And in a way, it's quite comfortable for them, wasn't it?
It was, and look, fair play to them. A couple of seasons ago, we beat West Ham. They were 2 leagues above us. Bournemouth were 2 leagues below. It's the FA Cup. Anything can happen. You'd never want to be on the end of a defeat anyway. But it's just one of those things. That's the magic of the FA Cup. That's why it's the best cup competition in the world.
And then Tuesday night, we've got to cover it, haven't we? We're probably going into more detail in a moment. We're actually going to be joined by Dave and Gabrielle for the Morecambe side of it. So we go through it a little bit in a bit, but sending off early, Rob.
Yeah, I was
2 yellows.
I was unfortunately up there on Tuesday night, and it was a long evening. 1-0 down to 10 men was not ideal. Was 2 yellows. I do feel like the second one was a little bit soft. Could have got a final warning before giving a yellow. And then on top of that, later on there was 1 or 2 penalty shouts on our side. So on a different day and a different refereeing decisions, maybe we could have got out there with a draw. But yeah, it was disappointing and a long evening. But like I said, the main thing is back at home, back at Plough Lane today, looking for the 3 points. Superb.
So we're going to bring over Dave and Gabrielle. I've warmed them up, or George has. We're just going to bring them in. Cool. Welcome, Gabrielle. Welcome, Dave. Nice to meet you.
How are you?
Come and join us. George, you come behind me. Cool. So this is our pilot, so don't worry. It's unlisted. But we wanted. That's the wrong one. Let's just quickly go.
That's why it's a pilot.
Yeah. So, how are you? How are you in terms of good journey down, Dave?
Excellent journey down, Stu, thank you.
Do you want to come round a little bit? We can go in the mic here. Just want to come round a little bit for us. That's all right.
Sure.
Cool. Yeah. How's the journey?
Got the train down from Preston about 8 o'clock this morning, and the usual fun and games on the Tube Network as it always is. But yeah, we made it in one piece. So yeah, good job.
Cool. So 3-1 at Spurs. I was watching it, to be fair. You were doing well at 1-0 early on. How was it?
It was an amazing experience, first and foremost. If you ever get the chance to go to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, it doesn't matter what game you go to, go for the experience, because the facilities are on a different planet entirely.
Yeah.
As for the game itself, I think the first half we more than matched them. It gives us belief going into the second half of the season with some really tough games coming up for us, similar to yourself, Stu. They had to bring Harry Kane and Lucas Moura off the bench.
I noticed.
To get them over the line. It's not a bad substance to have, that, is it really? So until that point, I think extra time was the least we deserved, really. So a fantastic day out.
Yeah, how many did I did watch it, and I heard the noise from Morecambe fans. How many actually went in the end?
About 3,500.
Wow.
So we made a heck of a lot of noise. If you look back on the footage of when we score, the whole place just erupts, and it's all Morecambe fans. So it'll certainly be a day which will live long in the memory, that's for sure.
So you kind of invited me onto your podcast the other week, and we were talking about media facilities, weren't we, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Did they live up to your expectations?
Absolutely unbelievable. I like the media facilities here, actually, this year.
Okay, cool.
So I'll talk about that.
It's roast beef today, by the way. I've walked past hospitality earlier. It's roast beef. I'm absolutely starving now. But yeah, what was it?
I might have to take you up on that, but they were incredible. From start to finish, everybody there, the staff, the stewards, everybody. They just made us feel so welcome. So it was a great day. Really.
Cool. So last five, it's been a bit of a last five. Obviously, Sunderland.
Well, thanks for that.
Pompey. Well, yeah, I always do the last five just to probably give us a little bit of confidence. But in terms of the Doncaster Rovers, 3-0 down, 4-3, mad game, wasn't it?
Well, that is the game that I think gives us hope going forward. We'd lost the Crew a couple of days before that, and that was another must-win game for us. And I think after the Crew game, we thought there's going to be no hope here. But don't worry, we've got Doncaster, they're bottom of the table. They've only scored 13 goals all season in the league, no problem at all. And within 28 minutes, we were 3-0 down. And we went in at half-time. All hope was gone. We're definitely going down. We are relegated. There's no chance. We're not going to get back into it. And somebody said in the press gantry, if we score in the first 10 minutes, they'll fall to pieces, because that's what they do.
Yeah.
And we did. We got a goal back in 5 minutes after half time, and obviously went on to win the game. It was a crazy afternoon. Crazy game. But so we got the job done.
So Doncaster, can you see why they're bottom of the league then? Because I was saying to you on a podcast, wasn't I, that if you look at their team lineup, it's a decent team, isn't it? I don't know what you think on that side.
They've got reasonable individual players, I'm sure, as Gab will explain, but as a team, they have no. I suppose the best way to describe it is they've got no fire in the belly, and when they get. I don't think they ever realised they were going to be 3-0 up. They didn't realise they were going to be 3-0 up, and I don't think they knew quite what to do when they were 3-0 up. So they didn't have a plan in the second half. We got at them. They were very easy to get the ball back off them, and they just fell to bits. And I think it's that lack of heart and spirit that will probably ultimately relegate them, I think.
Gabrielle, I'm sure not the first time to play our lane?
It is my first time.
Is it your first time?
Yeah.
Okay. What do we think? It's a nice view up here, isn't there? But yeah. What's your impressions?
I like what you've done with the place. No, it's fantastic. Really good facilities. I think it probably helps that Player Lane's been constructed during COVID times, because in terms of press facilities and things like that, that's been sort of planned in mind, I suppose. But it's great that Wimbledon fans have a place that they can call home now, and that's what I think is a victory for football, really.
Dave, your impressions?
It's fantastic. You can see it's been purpose built.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough to get here early. Got here just before 12 o'clock. Gave us a good chance to have a good walk round, and you can see all of the little details that matter to fans and staff and press. They've all been accommodated. So it's the ease of access, it's the width between the chairs, in the press box, the plugs in the right place. It's all those little tiny things that make a lot of difference. And
I get that.
I suppose from a Wimbledon fan's point of view, Stu, there's no place like home, is there? I was lucky or unlucky enough to be at Kingsmeadow a couple of years ago. I know
Depends where you are and how tall you are.
I know it served the purpose for you when you needed it to serve that purpose, and that was fantastic. But there's no place like home, is there? And I think you've done an absolutely fantastic job.
Superb. So I'm just thinking, we're going to a rewind section. So last time Kingsmeadow, I actually remember this. You ran away quite quite heavy. And do you remember that?
Yeah, honestly, thanks. Ruined that Saturday. Yeah, no, I hope you stay dry at Kingsmeadow. That's one thing I was wondering. It wasn't the best for away fans, was it?
No,
as
no,
a
not
venue,
really.
but
I
But
didn't realise it was that long ago since, in terms of
that's
that
what's just
sort of
thrown me
side of
as
it.
well. Yeah.
And obviously, crazy game at your place, and that goal. Hey, look, how many goals a season is Cole Stockton going to get?
Well, he's got 18 at the moment, and he's one of those. I think every striker goes through a phase where they cannot miss, and Cole is in that phase at the moment where everything he shoots goes in the back of the net.
Yep.
You know he shoots from anywhere. We know that your goalkeeper is a bit of a sweeper keeper, so we're bound to try and.
I know. I did want to give that away, but I think Cole
because
Stockton found it out.
I think that's said on the podcast, Stu.
Yeah.
The Fleetwood Town keeper got chipped from inside our own half.
Yeah.
So he shouldn't feel too bad about being chipped from 35, 40 yards. Really.
That's not the time to do a Rena Higuita, I don't think.
No, but we've all said, Rob, come round, we've all said, haven't we, as well, I'll move around a bit, so I mean, but we've said, haven't we, Nick Zanev does play, we hate the word recycle, but we recycle possession and go that way, so he's always been vulnerable to that, and I was always worried that he was going to get locked on that side of it. I have to say, in terms of, if we look, this is where we are with Cole Stockton. Do you know what, I can honestly say, hand on heart, I thought it was called Carl Stockton. I know
it's a mistake that a lot of press make, calling him Carl.
I hope it wasn't just me. I was like, Cole Stockton.
Maybe it's Carlton Cole. That's where. In
terms of, obviously stat-wise, he's a danger today.
Absolutely.
In terms of 27 games, he's played. He hasn't been subbed, which was interesting. He's in terms of stats I looked at, he's very rarely off the pitch.
He's missed 2 games this season. Last few weeks he's got a little bit of a tight hamstring.
Yeah.
So he missed out a couple of games ago, and we've been not nursing him through, because obviously if he wasn't fit he wouldn't play.
Yeah.
But he's certainly been pretty much an ever present. Obviously he's our main goal threat as well. Our next top scorer after Cole is Adam Phillips, who's injured, the midfielder. He's not playing today. He's only got 6. So if you take Cole's goals
that's
out,
quite good for us. We're taking 6 goals.
Well, if you take his goals out of the team, you're looking at 2 goals here, 3 goals here from defenders and things like that. So he is a huge part of everything we do. We've gone back to a 4-3-3 today as well. We've played 3-5-2 the last few games. We've gone back to what our manager Stephen Robinson likes, which is the 4-3-3. With pushing on fullbacks, and I think that's the formation that suits us best, suits the players that we have available best.
Yeah.
And I think we will look to try and stretch you wide, similar to like we did at our place, push you wide, get the crosses in, and hopefully get some success.
Because from memory, you matched the stuff at your place, and then you went to a 4-3-3, which caused us. And forgive me, your 2 wide players cause us all sorts of problems on the 4-3-3.
Well, one of them is playing today, one of them isn't.
That's great news.
Arthur Mahua, who actually crossed in for Shane McLaughlin's equalising goal, actually. He'll be playing wide. I think he'll be on the left today, because one of our other forwards, Joan Ryan, will be on the right, Cole in the middle in the 3. So that's going to be our main attacking threat to you. We'll stretch you wide, left and right, and try and get the crosses in. And hopefully Cole will be on the end of it.
Don't worry me. Gabriel, go on. He's obviously, I'm sure Morecambe are going to be trying to keep hold on this window. We've got the same problems with Roddy Palmer. We can go on to that a little bit later. But goal a month for August, September, Gabriel, and he's nearly 0.7 goals per 90 minutes. He's a massive player for them, isn't he?
He's having a fantastic season, Stu. I'm not sure, whether there'll be interest from the division above in Cole Stockton, because he's 27 at the moment. I'm not sure if I see loads of potential. I don't think he can play necessarily in the Premier League one day. So I think there is a ceiling there. And I think if you look at his career history, it's only actually at Morecambe where he's really thrived. He was brilliant in the promotion season under Derek Adams. Obviously, he's catching fire this season, but elsewhere at his career, oddly enough, he did a spell where he did well. But other than that, you're looking at stints at Tranmere, at Carlisle, Caplin non-league, where he hasn't necessarily cut it so much. So I'm not sure that I see Championship clubs going for Cole Stockton, but I think their loss is probably Morecambe's game.
I think we'll do really well to keep hold of him on the 1st of February, I'll be honest.
Has there been much interest at all in terms of rumours that we all hear?
Well, officially he's not for sale, but everybody has their price, don't they? And certainly clubs at our level, if somebody comes in with it, because bear in mind we got it for free, so anything we make on them is pure profit. I would say his goals to keep us in League One would be worth more than the $500,750,000 we'd probably end up getting for him in the window. So it's a bit of a tough balancing act. So that said, business is business, isn't it? So if somebody comes in with a decent offer, then I'm sure the board will listen to it. And I don't think they would stand in his way either, because he's been very loyal to the club. And obviously his goals got us promotion last season. They've gone a massive way to where we are this season. So they wouldn't stand in his way. But I think officially he's not for sale. But then again, who is? So we'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks.
Gabrielle, just looking at head to head, not much in it really, to be honest with you. What are you expecting today in terms of team news? I haven't got a slide for it yet because we're going to get some high. But team news, you say obviously you've got a few players. What are we expecting?
The last few weeks we've played 3-5-2, so we've made a couple of changes today to go back to that 4-3-3. We've got two players making their league debut for us today that we've gotten in the window. Trevor Carson, our new goalkeeper.
Trevor Carson,
on loan from Dundee. There you go.
Can I tell you a funny story, by the way?
He's been around the block, hasn't he?
When he was at Pompey, was that right, George? He had number 40 on his back, and we were all winning 4-0. So he said the scoreline's on your back. He's wearing 30. So it was the funniest chant, if you remember. He literally the scores on your back, and he realised he's a good goalkeeper.
He is, and I think he's an improvement on what we already had in the building. Our manager played with him at Motherwell, and obviously Motherwell got into Europa League, got into 2 Scottish Cup finals, finished runners up in the Premiership. So he's a good goalkeeper. We've also got a young defender from Burnley called Jacob Bedo at the back. Made his debut against Spurs last week. Only played an hour, but he looked accomplished. And again, an improvement on what we've already got in the building, because we are the leakiest defence in League One. And there are reasons why we are the leakiest defence in League One. So we needed to improve on that area. I think we'll get a couple more in the window for sure. We'll obviously look to strengthen in the midfield. We need a midfield enforcer. That's where you might get some success this afternoon. If you can bully us in the middle of the park, we won't like that, and you might be able to get some success there. And we obviously need to get some striking reinforcements in case Cole does go in the last week. But 4-3-3 today, back to what we know. And I think there's going to be goals in it today. I fancy an open game.
It's probably the famous last words. This ain't going to be a 0-0, is it? This is not going to be a 0-0.
I don't think so.
So before we let you go, prediction, Gabrielle, what are you expecting?
I'm going to go 2-1 to the Dons.
Oh, okay, I can live with that. I'm not expecting you to. What's your prediction today, Dave?
I think there'll be goals for both teams to score for sure. I think we'll edge it 2-1 or 3-2.
Cool. I did say on the podcast this week, and Nick didn't like me for it, but I was really worried about this game today. Really worried about this, because I think we haven't been at home for a little while, and we've had a bad run. So I know it sounds horrible, but I settle for a draw. Don't hate me on that.
It's a nailed on.
We've lost our last 3, so we've got to try and stop the rot at some point. But thank you very much for joining us.
No problem at all.
It's been great to see you. Hope you enjoy the facilities. Don't enjoy them too much. And you're on iFollow and the radio commentary, isn't it, today?
We are, yes, live at 2:45. So looking forward to hopefully a really good game to commentate on. If it goes anywhere like Doncaster, 3-0 down to 4-3, it's going to be quite fun.
So if we're leading,
not so good for the heart, of course. But
so if we're leading 3-0 at half time, don't get too confident. That's the word, isn't it? Cool. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'll let you go out that way for you. Thank you very much.
Guys. Thank you.
Cheers, thank you.
Matt, if you want to join us back in, this is why pilots. You can come actually, or where do you want to go? This is why pilots are good. That worries me a little bit. Dave was too. Yeah, it's actually worried me a little bit. He's actually worried me a little bit about what's going on.
Confidence.
And I was looking at it head to head. If you look at it in terms of their points per game is 0.96, league average is 1.37. Our points per game at home actually isn't too bad. Isn't too bad, but this is probably where we're going to need to. We've got to start here, haven't we?
It's always going to come from the home. It's going to come from the home crowd. It's going to come from playing at this stadium. When the two are in sync, you saw it in Bolton from the first game of the season. When the two are in sync, it's pretty much unstoppable. So we just need that. We were starting to get that back into that run of form. Then we got hit with the enforced break. And then that's it. Came back and we were completely out. So it's a young side. It just needs a little bit of time.
Yeah, you can see it all coming out behind us. Bit of vertigo up here, isn't it? It's a little bit of a high view. me and Matt were considering not to look too far over
Don't lean over the edge.
on that side. Obviously, it's a new feature we've got here. It's quite interesting to hear from Dave and that, wasn't it, Anne-Marie? Oh, we've got team news.
Absolutely, we do. Team news coming in, fresh in. Take one, pass it on.
I'm waiting for George to see whether I can release the video we had to make sure there were no changes, George.
The one thing I think that struck me and worried me ever so slightly was that they were saying, that their wingers are full of confidence and their key threat, and obviously working on our wing backs who are low in confidence at the minute. That was probably what struck me the most from what Dave said. I think you said as well that you're worried about this match. I think there is a little bit. Am I alone on that? No, I think there are nerves. There's going to be nerves. We're so tight in the table together. So I think if that's where they're going to be aiming their main threat, like we just really need to get behind the wing backs today, because I think they'll be busy on a busy afternoon.
George, just to say, can we release this video that we we can? Cool. Anyone watching this on a pilot, it's a pilot. So let's just see what team news is and then we go through it.
On today will be Nick Zanev in goal, right back Shay Alexander, Ben Hennigan and Will Nightingale centre halves, Paul Sue as a left back. In the middle will be George Marsh and Alex Woodyard, with Luke McCormack just in front. On the flanks will be Jack Rudoni and Aya Basal, with Ollie Palmer leading the line today. On the bench will be Zaki Ulia, Aaron Cosgrave, Napa Mabudi, Henry Lawrence, Terry Ablade, Edley Kadja and Ethan Chislett. Enjoy the game, guys.
So we're just talking about lighting. This is going to be a problem because I have a bald head, so I'm going to have to make sure I keep away from the light, on that.
We'll get you a hat.
Yeah. So as you know, Rob, 2V just giving you the team news there. I'm just going to quickly go. I was going to look at the table quickly because obviously other fixtures today. It sort of tells you this league table.
It's tight, isn't it?
Isn't it?
And that league table frightens me because it looks like there's only 2 relegation spots.
Well, it might be nice if there was only 2 on that side, but it's a big game today, Rob. Isn't it?
Some people are beginning to call it a 6-pointer. I don't believe any game's really a 6-pointer, but we have got 2 games in hand and we've got 9 games at home coming up. And I think our home form's going to be important.
Yeah.
I definitely think today is a winnable game. I'm actually quietly feeling quite confident today.
Yeah.
I think we're going to run out 3-1 winners, to be honest with you, if you wanted my prediction. I don't think either team's going to keep a clean sheet, and I do think there's goals in this game.
Ain't going to be 0-0, is it?
No, we keep saying that, but
it's not going to be 0-0.
We keep saying that, but watch it down be 0-0. But yeah, it's a big game. It's a big game for both sides today, given the table, and both teams will be looking to turn their form around. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Now the voice is confident, I'm even more nervous than I was.
Yeah, no, I am too. I'm finally thinking I might need to change mine.
Do you know what? It was actually nice having the Morecambe view on that, but I don't like when they're too confident.
Yeah.
It's sort of like makes
hopefully it's just next.
Yeah, but they, do you know what? It's a 6 point today. If they come here and they beat us, the old adage we've seen before, where games in hand isn't as good as games as points on the ball. We've seen that before, do you know what I mean? In terms of, so we've got the games in hand and they come up, thick and fast. But George, what are you thinking in terms of today? Is it a must not lose game?
I think today's probably must not lose. I think also if we're very lucky, you look at that, Fleetwood have got serious problems on and off the pitch. They've got a very, very tough game today against Rotherham. So I think it's important not to put all of our eggs in this basket, saying we need to beat Morecambe today.
Where's my basket gone?
It's a must not lose, but hopefully Rotherham can do us a favour against a very troubled Fleetwood side.
Easter's not till April.
Yeah, just looking around the other fixtures actually, to be fair. Well, Accrington at home to Sunderland, got beat 3-1 at home midweek by Wigan, and Chris Maguire enjoyed celebrating, I believe, in front of their manager. Reminds me of who was the guy at Morecambe? Chris
Ellison,
who did that. Yeah. Hilarious. We're not arguing with him, to be fair. Ipswich, Bolton, Charlton are okay at the moment, aren't they, in terms of that side? Any fixtures out there that stand out? Problem ones?
I think Fleetwood Rotherham's probably the big one in the league today, being realistic. Obviously, because that's got massive implications at both ends of the table. If there's an upset there, then Fleetwood are starting to pull away a bit, and obviously that damages Rotherham's hopes of promotion. But likewise, if Rotherham win that, Fleetwood are in the relegation zone today. Whatever happens here, So I think that's a massive game across both ends.
Sheffield Wednesday, Plymouth, I think.
Yeah, and the bottom one as well, Wickham Oxford, isn't it?
The ball will be in play for about 30 seconds across that whole one.
Yeah, the stats are funny as anything, aren't they, in terms of that side. So let's start to build up to where we are. So, one thing I would say, the pictures, we've got to make sure they smile a little bit. Matt and I earlier, George Marsh, which scares us a little bit with his picture. We'll let you see it in a bit.
I don't know, Robbo looks quite angry in that one.
Yeah.
It does, doesn't it?
Not like
Do you think they were told to be a mood shot on that side? But just obviously looking at it in terms of win percentage 35%, it's not the worst thing in the world. You know, we're coming up to a year now, aren't we?
Yep.
Matt, on that. Job-wise, do you think now this is probably his most important part now? Because, you know, you come in, didn't you? You come in from Glyn, had a good run, but, you know, let's be fair, COVID has caused a lot of problems. We need to win. We know we've got problems with people sniffing around our players. Would that be the right way of putting it?
Yeah, I think you're always going to get that when some teams, especially teams below, have got a lot more money than you have. So it's always going to be the way, and it depends on contractual stuff, what is going to happen at the end of the season with some of the players that they're talking about. It's always going to be the way when you've got something different, which is not a lot of people have, and everyone knows. Target men, even though Ollie isn't necessarily a conventional target man, are like gold dust. So if you've got one, there are people that are going to want it. As simple as that.
Definitely. I'm just going to quickly go through the goalkeeper. Where are my slides? This is why we did a test, George. Do you want to go through or see who's in goal, George?
So obviously the Dons team today in goal, no surprises. Nick Zanna been between the posts today. Just went for Stu to finally become semi-competent. We might be here a while.
Do you know what? I put them at the bottom. That's of course. That's the logic, Stu. Put them right down at the bottom, and then you can find them. So let's go.
Okay, so there we are. So obviously between the sticks today is Nick Zanev. Our centre halves today.
Really, George, you went so quickly, so I had to try and find them.
I thought you'd stay at the bottom. I didn't realise.
I just said you there. I just said you there at the bottom. Thank you for that.
So centre halves today, Ben Hennigan and Will Nightingale. Will Nightingale having a big impact after he came back. Anne-Marie, what did you think of him on Tuesday?
I didn't go Tuesday. I'm sure I wasn't alone, but I know that obviously he came. Did he play Boreham Wood as well? As far as
he came off the bench at Boreham Wood.
Yeah, and at that point, I think we were already potentially heading towards the loss already. But I think it was more of a, what does that say? It's a message. Our previous captain's back on the pitch. I mean, it's always great to see Will back. I think he brings a lot to the squad, and I'm really, really pleased to see him starting today.
Obviously at fullback today we've got Shea Alexander and Paul Ossu. Rob Boyce, the absence of Nesta Guinness-Walker today is obviously going to be a big impact. What are your thoughts on our starting fullback?
You know what, I was interested to see by our fullbacks with Nesta missing today. Like, I would have personally liked to have seen Lawrence come back into the fold, but at the same time, Ossu is having a fantastic season for us, and Shea Alexander has come back from injury and probably needs to run a game to himself as well. Shea obviously played Tuesday night and didn't really put a foot wrong. So
I can't not see it now, George Marsh.
Come on.
I can't not see it.
Okay.
Sorry.
And now, speaking of George Marsh, he comes into the side today replacing Anthony Hartigan, who's out in hospital still. Matt, big miss in Anthony Hartigan. What are you thinking of the engine room with Alex Woodyard pairing George Marsh?
Woody does what Woody does, but I like George Marsh. I love the way he plays. I love his battling quality. I love just the enthusiasm that he just hunts the ball down. Yes, he puts in a couple of challenges which could be suspect and might get him a yellow card or two, but I love how he makes us tick. If you've got Woody controlling the back and stopping them playing, Marsh is good to try and get us forward. Necessarily might not have the long passing range of Hartigan, but he's certainly got the sort of busy midfielder breaking up play and doing all the other nasty work that needs to be done.
Now we've also got a lot of attacking flair in this side today. Luke McCormack, Jack Rudoni and Ayuba Sal. Anne-Marie, how exciting is it to have those three attacking midfielders together?
It's always exciting, and I think that's the one thing that we need to go back to. Obviously, and we're at a difficult time in the season. But when we were having a really good spell at the start of the season, those were the players that were bringing that confidence and that freedom. And also, we've signed players this week, and they know that they're place might be up for grabs. So they might want to bring that take it up another gear so they can keep their place in the starting lineup.
And we've only got, I was just say, George, we've only got Terry. I can't pronounce his name.
Terry Adelaide.
That's the one. And the Lithuanian. No, I can't say it. I tried it again, didn't I? The Lithuanian player.
Yeah. So obviously we've got Thomas on loan from Barnsley, who's
What's
the
his surname, George?
Kalinauskas.
Hey, look.
Okay,
none of us
Anne-Marie got it. There we go. We'll move on very quickly.
Kalinauskas is what I'm going to go with.
Yeah.
Lithuanian Womble.
He's not in the squad today, which is pretty good, so I can learn it before we go. Do you know what? That three, I know there's been obviously discussion, isn't there, that play two up front. You know, we've been said that. But realistically, with them three behind, we play more than one up. You know, Ollie Palmer's a link, isn't he? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you think we need to change that? Is that not
No,
well?
I'm happy with them three. Like they seem to interchange, and you know, I think also the fact that Luke McCormack came off early on Tuesday night because we went down to 10 men. He'll be feeling fresh today.
Yeah.
You know, Ayab Basal's back into the fold. You know, after missing Oxford, so he should be feeling reasonably fresh. And I think Jack Woodini is having a fantastic season. So yeah, I'm looking forward to hopefully these three link up and get back to top form and what they can, you know, because when they are, they can hurt the opposition.
Definitely, and obviously we know who's up front. Ollie Palmer. Matt, I'll ask Coach you first. We also know there's interest from Wrexham apparently through it and stuff like that. I suppose we have to consider the fact: do we sell or do we not? What are you thinking?
Not to Ryan Reynolds. I said I've forgiven him for Green Lantern. So to them, no. It's well. Would you want to go? Is the next question. I mean, it's a long old way to travel with family and stuff. I'm not sure, but do we cash in? It depends. I don't know his contract length. I don't know what the plan is. Robbo always seems to have a plan A, a plan C, and a plan every letter of the alphabet. So I'm assuming there was something in place. I think if he come out and said he wouldn't want him to go, he come out in the press and said that, I believe. But
Yeah. And it's not his decision now, and I suppose that's the thing that I noticed. And Rob on the interview that Robbo done was like he didn't really want 27 more when he done the interview. He didn't want 27 more days of. Because obviously, you know, if you think about in the January transfer window, we've probably got another 3-4 games before. Easy, I'm trying to think now, isn't it? We don't really need that, do we? We don't need to have the unrest on the outside the pitch.
No, not at all. You know, but then at the same time, like you know, Dave said with Cole Stockton, you know, these rumours fly around, and you know, it does cause a bit of unrest. But I think it's a big statement for Ollie Palmer starting today. And you know, we have got a long way to the end of the window. I'm looking forward to the window closing, and so we can just focus on the rest of the season. You know, but like Matt said as well, like would Ollie potentially want to go to Wrexham, go to Wales? You know, I know his family's down here and local, so and you know his family have played for Wimbledon. There's a lot of history there, so I'm not too sure. You know, like I said, I'm trying to ignore the rumours and just focus on today's game.
Definitely, and I was just gonna. What we're going to do, I'm just going to quickly. George was down at the training ground yesterday, so what we're going to do is going to quickly play that if I can find this slide. Here we go. I know. Technical difficulty. It is here. It's just that it's a pilot, and this is why we did it because we got put off. Yeah, but yeah. So Nick Zanev had an interview with George, and we did make sure this was socially distant. So. My plan was to keep George as far away from Nick Zanev, and this is what we had.
This week is our first interview, and we're joined by none other than Kiwi's #1 Nick Zanev.
How you doing? You alright, guys?
So these interviews will be designed to give fans a bit of a better understanding into who our players are and what they're like off the pitch. So Nick, I think the first one we want to know is a bit about your day-to-day routine. So what time did you set your alarm clock this morning?
Wake up around 8 o'clock. In for around 9:30, usually stretch out in the morning a little bit, do a bit of core work depending on what time we go out, and have a little bit of breakfast at the club, come out to train, smash a session out with Bezo as always, then we usually have a little bit of gym work after that, and then depending on the day, usually analysis or some type of team meeting to prepare for the weekend.
So when you're waking up in the morning, are you the type of person that has a lie-in, or are you normally straight up and out as soon as the alarm goes?
I'm usually straight up and out. Don't really like to lie in too much. Even on my days off, I don't really like to lie in. like to get up, do something with my day, you know. And unless we're back late one evening on a Tuesday night game, but yeah, I'm usually up early, out the door quite quickly as well. Have a little coffee on the go, and then come in.
You mentioned earlier when you get into the club, you do actually have breakfast here. What's that like normally? What are the players having?
Yeah, just a bit of toast. There's a bit of porridge, cereal, a bit of fruit, just pretty basic stuff. But it just helps you keep going. Especially if we got lunch a little bit later in the day, it helps a lot.
One thing that's probably a bit easier at the moment, the commute into the training ground. How's that going for you at the moment?
Yeah, for me it's all right. I only live 10 minutes away, so I've got a bit of a touch coming in every day. I can afford to wake up at 8, but I know some of the other lads are coming in for a lot further, so yeah, it's lucky.
So when you're on the way in, are you listening to any specific music or?
Yeah, music, and then sometimes I listen to the Joe Rogan podcast on Spotify, so I quite enjoy that one. So sometimes that, and then I switch it up.
Do you have a specific favourite type of music and favourite artist that's on the rotation a lot at the moment?
I like Tory Lanez in the minute quite a lot, but anything just, R&B, house, depending on what mood I'm in, I quite like any music, to be honest with you. So yeah, it's just depending on the day and the mood.
One of the things that Robbo's introduced here is obviously the big speakers in the changing rooms, allowing you guys to all pick a different song each. What did you pick?
It's called Heard It All Before by, I can't remember the artist's name, but yeah, it's a bit of a house song that gets a bit more upbeat, ready for the game.
Obviously, as a footballer, you have a fair bit of downtime, sadly, in the afternoons and evenings. Is there anything you've watched recently on Netflix or any movies?
On Netflix, yesterday I actually watched The Big Short, so I'm quite into that, just trying to learn a bit more outside of football, just to do something completely different, sort of just to take my mind off it when I'm away from the club. So yeah, just Netflix, Narcos, the Mexican Narcos, I just finished that, so yeah, I really enjoyed that, but no.
Now, one thing that's fairly sort of all differentiated between footballers, some love watching football on Sky, BT, others are not. Are you a big fan of watching it on TV?
Yeah, I watch it from time to time, but I don't think I wouldn't say I'm like a football fanatic, you know. I don't go home and just watch hours of one end of matches like on a Sunday. I usually watch like big games, but apart from that, sort of just focus on what we do and the analysis we do, and that's most of the football I watch, to be honest.
Do you have a favourite pundit when watching on TV?
Not really. I probably don't watch it enough to have a favourite one.
Now, obviously, we've had a couple of away games in a row. So, when we're travelling to away games, do you often variate who you sit with, or is it always the same type of people?
Yeah, I think it's similar. I think we're all quite close. Everyone can sit with anyone, have a conversation with anyone. So I think that's quite a good dynamic of the group. And yeah, but usually on away trips, I'm usually sitting with Knightsy because we've got quite similar interests, and we sometimes play cards with Che and Chiz, so that's a good one as well, just to fill up the time a bit. But yeah.
Anyone any good at cards there, or are you all much of a muchness?
I don't know. I think we win a bit. Chiz likes to think he's number one, obviously, but no, he usually gets beat.
Now, some slightly random questions, and you can tell Stuart Deakins has written these ones.
Yeah.
On your way for away trips, do you have a particular favourite motorway service station?
No, because usually I just come to the training ground, to be honest. So I usually just come here and then get the coach from here, and then for further away trips, it's always usually Euston and stuff when we travel up north with the train. So no, I haven't got a favourite station.
Now, obviously on those longer away games, the players are often staying overnight. Has there been a particularly memorable away trip in terms of the overnight stay?
Yeah, I think Lincoln away stands out last year because it wasn't just players, it was a couple of fans. Mikey T was there, and it was just really good just to get it was a real togetherness we had there on that last game, because obviously we could relax a bit because we knew we were safe. And I think that's one of the memorable ones. Robbo singing one of our songs, so yeah, it was everyone getting involved, so yeah, it was a very good vibe and enjoyable away trip.
One of the things that I think a lot of fans want to know an awful lot more about on those away trips, the initiation songs. This season, I think it's fair to say there's been some very memorable ones, including some from the coaching staff.
Yeah.
Is there any that stand out so far this year?
Simo for sure, hands down. I don't even have to think about it. Simo's was quality. He made up a song. I know it's sort of an internal song, and we were just singing it, and yeah, it's quality, and it stuck quite well. Like after every win, we get it going, so no, that's been good, but mostly bad ones, to be honest with you.
Anyone you want to put in it there with any particularly bad initiation?
I don't know, maybe Eggly, the amount of the amount of initiations he's actually had at this club, he should be better than them by now, but no, he's alright.
Now, we always end these interviews with 9 quick fire questions, so these are going to be either or, so you just need to say the first thing that comes into your head.
Okay.
So the first one, wine or cheese?
Wine.
Australia or South Africa?
South Africa.
Sum 41 or level 42?
Say again?
Sum 41 or level 42?
Level 42.
Nick Knowles or Nick Knowles?
Nick Knowles.
Tom Holland or Toby Maguire?
Tom Holland.
VAR, yes or no?
Yes.
If Jet from Gladiators was to host a barn dance at Yeovil Aerodrome, would you go even if it risked turning into an all-night rave?
Probably, yeah.
And the big question,
Yeah.
when you're making a cup of tea, bag first or milk first?
Bag first, 100%.
Correct answer, Nick Zanner. Congratulations for staying at the club with that answer, and thank you for joining us.
Cheers, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thank
Take it
you.
easy.
Brilliant. Cheers, Nick.
No worries.
He's got quite a big Twitter following.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's
Cool.
just a lovely gentleman.
And just to surprise you, look, we're back on live. Tom, you can stay here if
Nothing
you want
like
to.
a countdown
There's
there,
only a
is
few
there,
people on
Stu?
there. Let's just quickly go. Here we are. So I've just sort of, I love the lineup. I love the lineup in terms of we've got a new addition. In a little while, though, Tom. What do you know about? I'm putting your spot here. Like, what do you know about James Oliver?
I've done a bit of work experience around the club, so I've seen him a couple of times and I've heard a lot of good things about him, more than seen.
Yep.
So I don't do too much with the academy, but on Twitter and especially Instagram, you see a lot of people raving about him. So I think it can only be a good addition, especially with Simo going back to Chelsea now. So.
But I'd say, sorry Stu, but just to talk about James, he's very good. And I mean, you don't work with Robbo, we obviously worked with Robbo for a very, very long time in the academy. He's worked with Rob Tuvey as well. You don't work with those sorts of people and not learn things, not pick things up, not contribute those ideas. And he's very good. He's a very good tactical coach. He's very good on the set piece design. So I can imagine him working with Andy Parslow quite well. And I think he's a good replacement for Simo, who's a big miss.
He's gone to Norway.
Yes.
I believe
He's
it's
gone
a
to Norway.
fan-owned club, I believe.
Is he really? No, I was thinking, right, it's cold enough over here, but if your boss goes to you, I'm going to chuck you over to Norway. But he did say, didn't he, when he left, that there was something in plan. That's quite an interesting move.
Yeah, and that's a good move for him, isn't it? It's going to be a good experience for him going to Norway. I didn't know it was another fan-owned club, so...
No, I didn't actually, no.
Yeah, it'll be a good experience, the fact that he's come here and probably be able to implement some of his ideas now over there, you know, from having experience. I think personally he's going back to Chelsea, but yeah, it's news to me that he's gone to Norway, but good luck to him, you know, so...
Yeah, so I mean, I was thinking, you know, we've got 2 players on a loan. We've gone to Barnsley. Never had a loan from Barnsley, but I don't think. That's a new one for us and stuff like that. And the loan from Fulham, which is not a surprise because, to be fair, we should be just looking over the bush, shouldn't we? Because they train right next door to us. So if we're not seeing anyone, from Fulham, what's the point? Do you know what I mean? Where do you train? Next door, on that side. What do you think we're going to do this window? Do you think any more coming in? Do you think? Or?
Do you know? I'm not sure. I'm pleased with the timing because obviously, you know, like we said, it's been a difficult few weeks, and you know we've got the added benefit of new players coming in. Like we said before, it might make other players, you know, really, you know, want to up their game, want to keep that place in the squad. Add something different, and also they're a bit unknown quantity. So when we're playing against other teams, they won't necessarily have been sussed out. It's always good to have new faces and bring some fresh legs at this time of the season. Whether I think we'll bring in one more, I think it depends on if anyone comes in for our players. And it was interesting hearing the Morecambe fans earlier saying, you know, they're in a similar position with Stockton. Is getting to that point really where it's do you keep hold of the player and hope you stay up and or you know invest. So and they're in a very similar position. But I think what happens next would really depend on if anyone goes.
So we've got a spotlight. So we've done a spotlight on Nick Zanner. One thing I've noticed, by the way, Matt, is he's quite freckly. My wife yesterday looked at a picture goes, "Oh, that's something freckles." She's not really that close, do we? To be fair, but Tom, massive player for us, isn't he?
Yeah, I was surprised if we didn't have any interest for him in this window.
Yeah.
I'd personally rank him. I mean, I'm a Wimbledon fan, but he's got one of the top 5 keepers in the league. When you've got players on loan from Bayern Munich, who's on top of Morecambe for Sunderland, and you've got other Championship-esque keepers in other teams, I think it's a great credit to him, and it shows. Since he came back from that Sutton loan, he was a completely different player. He started controlling the box. His throw, his distribution from his arms is sensational. The fact that I think he set up a goal earlier in the season where he threw it pretty much 3
He did down here, wasn't it? I can't remember what game it was now.
And yeah, I think it's a great credit to our back line, and he can kind of
One of the behind us go, what's going on here?
I'm just hopeful today
considering who we're playing, that he remembers what happened in the original game.
Yeah.
And he stays a little bit.
I think we're all a little bit scarred by that from that way, and those of us who were there.
I was going to lead into that though, John. What do you think? Because psychologically, right, if you've been lobbed, that obviously is there, isn't it? Do you think today? I reckon actually Blaze is probably going to go to him. Look, do you know what? You've got to still play your own game because it's so important for us. But psychologically, if he gets the ball, I'll be like, okay, we'll go back a little bit. What do you think, though, George?
I think it's very important we do our own game, and it's also like a dare you, because Stockton will go into this.
Don't want to dare him.
No, but Stockton will go into this thinking he can lob it. So it's almost like a try it, because they're a 1 in 15, 1 in 20 chance they go in. So it's almost like you take that gamble that, I'll let him try it, we're going to get a goal kick at the end of it.
It's not his only goal.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Let's just try and. I think you take the punt. We play our game. It's 80-20, like Robbo always says. And I think you make sure that we do what we do well. And Nick, being a sweeper keeper, is a very big part of that. And we just have to hope Stockton don't get a nice little sort of dipping ball on the halfway line again.
Did you practice down at your interview, try and just give him a few?
Yeah, I did lob him from the halfway.
It's like, it's behind you. It's just, Joe, I just think goalkeepers, a lot of it is psychological. A lot of it is here, isn't it? Do you know what I mean, Tom? So, it's been good. But I think today's going to be interesting because if I was Cole Stockton, I probably would chuck one in early. Just to
test it.
Do you know what I mean? You would, it's that sort of side of it. Obviously, you weren't here earlier, Tom. I was saying this on the podcast. It's like the old Dusty Bin 3-2-1. We've reduced our goals. So today, probably say 0-0. Do you think we get a clean sheet today? Because we had. I don't know what you thought about the Milton Keynes game, but
I took the part in it, but kind of looked at the heart, like the notifications, but didn't watch anything like that. I've heard good things about the second half. I think the Oxford game came after a few days off. Training is never like a game for Matt from point one.
Yeah.
You can train all you like, but there's no intensity, there's no fans behind you, nothing like that. It's come pretty much, no football for so long after a good run. I think we'd have beaten Charlton on Boxing Day, and Plymouth would have given them a good game, like we did earlier on this season when they came to us. So I think, a run of games is always going to be difficult for us to get back in form, and now's the best time to start winning when we've got Saturday, Tuesday for 3 or 4 weeks. So I'm quite excited. I think it'll be good for us today.
I think you did raise a very good point there. That rest, that 18 days going into the Oxford game, and then it was over 2 weeks again as the break leading into Boreham Wood. And I think that really just showed. We looked leggy in those games. We looked tired. Tired's not the right word, but we didn't look match sharp. And I think that's probably a major contributing factor. When you look, the performance on Tuesday night was, much improved compared to what we've seen in the last two. And in the second half, the last 10 minutes was some of the best stuff we've seen since that Wickham draw and that COVID break.
Steady.
Well, it was the best 20 minutes we'd had in a 3-0 defeat and a 2-0 defeat to a non-league team.
Just quickly before we've got about a couple more minutes, but Henry, a lot of people said, is it an excuse because we didn't play for so long? But realistically, what's your thinking on that? Do you think we've just, maybe the training wasn't right, we didn't anticipate it? Because we have come back, and let's be fair, that form thing not great.
Yeah, I think it's probably multi-layered. There's probably various different reasons for it. I mean, momentum is key in football. We know that. If we haven't had a run of games and things that you've got that break, you lose that continuity of what we're training, and also the messages are getting across.
Yep.
It must have been difficult for the coaches to have to adapt during that. It's really, really frustrating what happened around Christmas. I don't think it can be fully blamed on that though, but I should imagine it almost certainly impacts things like fitness and the way that the players have been conditioned.
Well, the good news is we're back at Flower Lane. It feels like
42 days.
Like last time I was here, we beat Cheltenham. Could have thrashed Cheltenham, couldn't we? I'm thinking, I know we looked at the league table earlier. I didn't look at the top part. What's the point? But I was looking up, and obviously now we're looking for a 6 pointer, aren't we? But we're glad to be back. It's to be fair, I'm just looking. I think a lot are eating the pies, Matt, because like there's not a lot. Anyone the pies are. I know, mate. The pies I love. If you've not tried the pies, I had them at Woking pre-season. Amazing. Prediction. Let's go with you, Matt. What do you think?
It says 2 or the mark says 3-2.
2. Tom?
I'm going to go 2-1. 2-1. Us.
I'm going 3-1 us. Back at us today.
Anne-Marie?
Same as you, I think. It's going to be a draw. I think it'll be 1-1.
Rerun to the Dons.
I've got a feeling it's going to be like a 2 or 3 or draw. I really
There's
do.
goals in this.
I worry about our resilience, that sort of, do you know what I mean? If we can see a goal early, that's
We're
my
a very
worry.
good second half team, very good, especially here. We're a very good second half team.
We mustn't forget in the away game, we turned them over in the second half. That's when we came into our own and they fell apart.
Definitely. Well, look, thanks for joining us. I'm not too sure how many people are watching. It's a pilot, so we'll be back at we'll be back at full time. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, guys. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you 5-10 minutes after the final whistle, which could be any time, because the referees, they had so much time now.
Well, the
I had to get my referee dig in.
Mr. Speedy, so we'll see if he
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah. See if he
Davey,
is.
for the old people, that's Davey Speed, isn't it? Oh, if we don't keep up with play today, we've got some classic jokes. But we'll be back after the game, and yeah, we'll see you.